Hi guys, Kira Eaton, park naturalist here again at Dinosaur State Park. Today we're going to be talking about the Cambrian Period. This marks the beginning of the Paleozoic era. So during this time there was a big event called the Cambrian Explosion, and this means that many different animal groups diversified and evolved very rapidly, very quickly, not within a few million years. And so many of the groups that we see today actually did survive into the modern day. And so there was animal life before this time, but not very complex. And what we see in the Cambrian period is animals evolving or diversifying in response to environmental conditions, and then prey and predators evolving to outsmart each other. So first we're going to talk about trilobites, which is one of my favorite groups of animals. Trilobites belong to the arthropods, which also include animals such as insects and crabs. And if you look at this trilobite, it kind of looks like our horseshoe crab that we have today, and that's basically the closest living relative to trilobites. They unfortunately did go extinct at the end of the Permian with the big Permian extinction. So trilobites had a predator during this time called Anomalocaris, which is another arthropod. And Anomalocaris was probably one of the biggest predators at this time. And we see a lot of times see what is called predation marks preserved on trilobites. And this is basically showing where predators tried to eat them but were not successful. So with Anomalocaris, it would leave distinct W-shaped bite marks on the trilobite, and it was always in certain places, so we know that the trilobite got good at evading its predators. So both of these trilobite specimens that I showed you are called Elrathia kingi, and this is from the Middle Cambrian, found only in the Wheeler Shale in Utah. And if you can kind of see this layer here in the oval shape, there's a layer of sediment. So what happens is when a trilobite dies, or any animal that's going to be a concretion, a layer of bacteria will kind of cover over it and make a thin film, and then the sediment will cover over that, and through time it'll form a big kind of oval or ball shape, and then you crack it open and find the fossil. Another cool fact about trilobites is sometimes we can actually see their stomach contents preserved, and we don't see something you'd expect, like if you found a dinosaur fossil, you see the stomach, you see the bones in there if it's a theropod, and maybe plant pieces if it's an herbivore. We don't see anything. It's just kind of sediment filled, which means there was fluid and there wasn't any pieces of prey. So we actually think that trilobites may have eaten the same way that spiders eat, just by sucking in the fluid. The other fossil we have from the Cambrian is what's called a stromatolite. Stromatolites are layers of bacteria and sediment which come to form a mat. This one was probably made by blue-green algae. So these like to live in sort of tidal areas, and as I said, we don't really see, during this time, we don't see any animals going onto land. So bacteria may have been able to do that. But everything was all life was in the ocean during this time. And so these animals, these organisms would layer, they would get the sun in the warmth from the tidal areas and the shallow areas, and then a layer over time, a layer of sand or sediment would go on them, and then they would grow on top of that, and it would just keep continuing. So you see these layered mats in the fossil record. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoy.